Hi there traders, it's been quite a while since I conducted a client interview, so I'm delighted to say that today's video will be doing just that. As you will have no doubt seen with all the live trade videos we have posted over the last 6 months, 2016 has been a hectic time in the Forex markets and a fantastically fruitful one for us as news traders, especially so with the recent huge moves that we've seen in light of the Brexit. With this, it's been a delight to hear many success stories along the way from students on the course and members of the mentoring service. None more so than the chap I'm about to interview today, Connor, who has impressively managed to grow his account by a huge 35% in the space of a few short months. I therefore want to take this opportunity for Connor himself to give you an insight into the factors behind his success and how the support he has received from us has helped him to get to where he is today. Now, the interview, alongside those earlier ones that I posted with Paul, Gene and Gavin, is aimed to celebrate Connor's incredible success over the past few months, but to again provide further inspiration and motivation to those watching, wherever you may be on your trading journey, that you too can achieve some amazing things when you commit yourself to learning the powerful skill of news-based trading. So without further ado, let's get going. But firstly, just let me take this opportunity to say a massive thank you to Connor for taking time out of his weekend to conduct this interview. Many, many thanks. Okay, so firstly, Connor, please can you start off by sharing with listeners just a little bit of background, general background on yourself, age, job, and a little bit of background on your trading journey prior to working with us.
Certainly, Tom. Good afternoon. Thanks for inviting me to share my story.
Absolutely.
I'm a 34-year-old Australian, and I've been living in the UK for almost 10 years now. I'm a teacher during the day and a trader whenever I get a spare chance, basically. I've been trading as a technical trader for about 2 to 3 years before I came across the fundamentals.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just pure luck that I happened to meet yourself doing a trading course, and I continued to follow you, Tom. And once your fundamental trading course came up, and I sort of got sick of just floating around break even for so many years, that I took the fundamental trading course that you've done, and it's been positives ever since.
Excellent. I think it's always good to touch upon just your general background. I know there's always a concern from people that they go, well, I've got a full-time job, I've got a commitment here, I've got to look after my kids, etc., etc. But what you're clearly demonstrating is that you can trade around your current commitments until you reach that point where you can say, actually, no, now I'm in the position where I can justifiably say I'm going to leave my current job if that's what I want to do and trade more often. But would you agree that it's not essential that you have lots of hours to trade and that you don't have to trade the European session?
No, I mean, as for myself, most of the time when I'm sort of sitting down to trade, it's later in the evening, or you don't have to have hours and hours. You don't have to be sitting at your computer all day, and it's just a matter of realizing that there are always opportunities if you've done your homework, you've looked at the sentiment of the markets, and what those central banks are looking for.
Awesome. That's good to know. That's good to know. Fantastic. So just give us a high-level view of how trading has gone since you did the course and became a member of the mentoring service. Just a general view of how you've progressed from your early days, which were no doubt a little bit trickier, to where you are now, having clocked up a nice 35% growth on your account.
Yeah, I mean, early days, it was it was a whole lot of information, and trying to break that down into something that I could understand and that I could sort of use to grow. And the mentoring service has been an absolute godsend, because it the way that those emails come in, it says things nice and simply, very easy to understand, and it also gives you that little bit of extra that if you want to read on and you want to learn more about the particular subjects that are being talked about, you can do that. So and then it's just a matter of if you want to pursue it more, or if you just want to take it at face value and use the information that you've been given.
And did you find that you struggled a little bit in the early days, just as you were getting used to all this new information?
Definitely. It's learning to walk again. and being so much not a fundamental trader, and always been told through the technical, books and the courses and things like that I've been on in the past, where they've always sort of said, don't worry about the fundamentals. You don't want to look at that. This is how you trade. And it was a lot of those things that I had learned in the past. I sort of had to relearn, but they also helped me, design my trade plan and go forward.
Awesome. And I think that's a key thing to point across, is that it's gonna take a bit of time to get up and running, because there are, from my experience of trading, my experience of the trader education, there are always two types of people. One that comes in and has the opinion that things have to work straight away, things have to click straight away, things have to they have to see profit straight away, and you've got the other side that treat it like any skill, any other skill, like driving a car, etc., and say, actually no, I'm gonna work hard at this over the first 3 to 6 months, and then I'm going to judge my progress, because I need to get on top of these skills and I need to practice them first. And I think you're a great example of that, because we had conversations from when you first started all the way through to where you are now, and you did have some challenges in the early days, but you had the attitude of saying, how do I overcome these challenges, rather than going, actually it's not quite working for me right now, I'm going to ask Tom where I'm going wrong, I'm going to be very honest with him and point out where I've made some very obvious beginner mistakes, which we've all made, and I'm going to try and get him to point me in the right direction so I can overcome these obstacles. And you've done exactly that. You've taken on board the feedback, and after a couple of months, you've started to see the progress, and now things are starting to click for you. When was the time, when did you notice, roughly from when you first started to when things started to click for you, when you started to go, actually all the stuff that I read in his first reports were a foreign language, but now it's all starting to make complete sense, and now I'm utilizing that information going forward in my trade plans? Because I think that's important, because when people first come on the course and the mentoring service, some are a little bit overwhelmed. They go, whoa, all this stuff is quite intense. But I just want to know when you started to feel it was more understandable and digestible and applicable to your trading.
I'd say it probably around about the sort of the 3 month mark, and prior to that, I was just trying to sort of force it, that all right, you've got all this information that you need to understand, and you need to read through all these articles and things like that to get better, because that's generally what everyone tells you when you start a new job or you start something else. You've got to work really, really hard, and you've got to take everything on board immediately to progress. But I found that around that sort of 3 month mark, where I understood the language, I understood like the terms of phrase, and sitting back and actually watching events unfold, which you made us aware of, and looking at that when the news was coming out, just simply sitting on the sidelines and watching what was happening. It all started to sort of just click, and I started to realise why the markets were moving, and if there was a move that I didn't quite understand, that would only take me, a couple of minutes just to sort of see, okay, well, this is what the market was expecting, and this is what it's done, and these are the reasons why, and it all just unfolded right before my eyes. It was really, really amazing.
So you say that experience really has helped you make better trading decisions going forward?
And also the conversations that I'd have with you, and the emails that we swap back and forth about what I was doing, and just me being honest about what was happening in my experience. I think.
Yeah, and that's quite hard, especially for guys of our age, to admit our mistakes openly. But without doing that, how can you ever get feedback that can help you overcome those challenges?
Exactly, and I mean, I'm a very, very competitive fellow at the best of times, and to sort of to the realization, look, you can't do this on your own. You do need someone who's been there, and it turned my trading around, essentially, just realizing you can't be the best just walking off the street and just doing it.
And would you say that learning the fundamentals has been obviously from you telling us that you were breaking even with your technical approach to now being 35% up on the fundamental approach, what would you now say are the key elements or advantages of news trading over technical trading? And would you say now that you couldn't trade going forward without an understanding of the fundamentals?
Well, I mean, it's I would never not take the fundamentals into consideration now. I mean, it is the largest part of my trading plans that I could never ever see myself going back to just pure technical trading. The technical trading does help me, but on a very, you know, small level compared to the fundamental.
Yeah.
It's just it's completely changed the way that I see the market and I read the market and being profitable in the market.
And I think the key, or a great advantage, if you've got both sides of trading, technical analysis and fundamental analysis, is to blend the two, because they can work very, very well together, as we've seen this week with trading cable. When the market is at a very inefficient level, the technicals can help you with timing your entry into a trade, but the technicals, for me, I'm wholeheartedly always going to tell people, make sure you start with the fundamentals, because that will give you the directional bias on the currency.
Yep.
And then if you can overlay that with some technicals for efficient entries, then all the better.
Yeah, definitely agree with that, Tom.
Fantastic. So in regards to the course, because you obviously started off on the Learn to Trade the News course, what would you say the main benefits and elements of that were, which have helped you on your trading journey thus far?
I mean, the way that it's written in just such a very simple to understand, way, and the videos that you post, they're invaluable. It shows what you're thinking and actually what the market's doing whilst you're thinking, and how it changes and how you perceive what's going on. That for me, that video element was priceless.
Yeah.
It's real time. All the things that are going on, are still very current with when you're watching them. And yeah, I can't thank you enough for doing those.
No, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
It just makes it so much easier to see visually as well what's going on, and that you are actually doing these things that you're talking about.
Yeah, of course. Wonderful. And what would you say were the one or two most powerful concepts, trading concepts, that you were able to obtain from the course? What's the thing that has really opened your eyes to saying, actually, I use this particular concept pretty much in every single trade from a news perspective?
Being patient and selective, and not being afraid to cut losses, even though you might, lose out. But you are saving and preserving that capital. Preserving capital is huge, and I still to this day, every time where I've had a losing trade, it's come down to pure greed and not willing to, just say, right, you're wrong, cut your loss now, but just sort of always hoping, saying, no, I can't be wrong. I'm expecting this to turn the other way and go the way that I first thought, because you are wrong, and just knowing that, and constantly sort of reminding myself, saying, look, there are plenty of pips out there to catch, and I mean, I have, maybe 10 to 20 pips is like a daily, 2 daily sort of target for me.
Yeah. And
just preserving those is why I've been able to, make such good progress account wise.
Amazing. Just topping those accounts up with small but regular pips.
And that compound interest type of, where it keeps compounding and it keeps building. It's the simpler the better.
Yeah. Excellent, because I think we touched upon that in one of the daily reports, how 20 pips may not sound like much when you look at some of the trades we've taken where they're 450 pips on the likes of the pound trades, but not every single trade or every single move is going to be that grand. So if we can pick up some smaller moves along the way from maybe some correlations or the smaller impact news events, 20 pips a day sounds like a small gain, but if you add that up every day over the course of a month, that's 400 pips, which is essentially, with our risk management principles, is 4%, which 4% in a month, by any stretch of the imagination, is a fantastic return. And anything in and around or above that is incredible. And as you say, the power of compounding, which will obviously exponentially grow that return as well over time from a financial perspective, is what's also powerful.
It is just a fantastic thing to finally realise that, and to be okay with just small gains, just consistent small gains, and that's one of my biggest learning experiences that has helped me, and it's through that mentoring and the course that you've put together that's really made me see that.
Fantastic. So
Seeing you do it as well.
yeah, no, that's exactly why, because it's really, really hard for me to record the trade videos beforehand because, of
Yeah.
course, having to be in the zone for the actual trade. But
Yeah.
I try and record 99% of the trades just to give you guys a very up-to-date and live view of how I'm trading the markets. And what you'll find is that you'll start to see that you're doing very similar things, where you've
Yeah.
gone, I almost can tell what Tom's going to be trading in terms
Yeah.
of a currency pair, because essentially he's preempted it with the daily reports. But from me learning the knowledge of the course, I know that I want to be finding the strongest currencies and pairing them against the weakest ones, which Tom's going to be doing exactly the same. So when I see a video from him having traded CAD yen or pound dollar, and I've done the same thing, that's really rewarding. I may not have got a similar return, an identical return, but something similar is more than enough. And on other occasions, I will take a smaller return than some of my students do, and that's just as rewarding for me to see. Of course, I'm always a bit jealous, but that's just as rewarding when my traders have maybe squeezed out a little bit more on the same currency pair. Because for me, the most important thing, the element that I see, is that the trading plans of my students are sound, i.e., why did you sell that currency pair, or why did you buy that currency pair? And if someone can turn around and say, well, there was a fundamental reason for why that one was strong and a fundamental reason for why that one was weak, then fantastic. I know that they're putting the odds, they're stacking the odds in their favour of getting the direction right, and then it's just a matter of how much they can squeeze out on that particular trade.
Yeah, and then also using like the mentoring service on top of that. Like oftentimes what I've, because I don't get a chance to sort of go through everything throughout the day, of an evening when I'm going through and I think, okay, this is the move that I would have gone and used, and then to see that, backed up by what you've written about and the correlations that you've been talking about, and knowing that, okay, I've had those same ideas throughout the day is another, positive and another, productive, influence on reinforcing my trade plan.
Yeah, and it can build that all-important confidence, can't it? Because as a trader, confidence is so important. And if you're confident in your trading plans, then you're going to be confident in executing them when the trade plans come together.
Yeah, that's absolutely paramount, and it does help you to make those more efficient entries and exits without being caught out to unawares, which sometimes still happens, but that's the nature of the game.
Yeah. Fantastic. So you touched upon a little bit earlier about the mentoring service. Just if you can just give guys listening that are maybe considering it, what you would say are the main benefits from the mentoring service and the elements that have helped you most with your trading.
I mean, I can't recommend it enough. I think it is one of the main reasons that I've gotten to the point where I am today with my trading. It just there. You've always got time to answer the questions, and it's nice to have someone who's actually in the market and they're trading just like I am, and you're so open and honest that I feel comfortable enough that I can ask you anything, and I'm not going to feel stupid. There are no stupid questions when I'm sending you an email, and I know that I'm going to get a very honest response that is generally been written to help me, because I feel that and I see that with how you write and the things that you've said to me, and it's helped me become such a confident trader. And I know that I'm still only at the start of my trading journey, and to have someone who's got the experience that you have, Tom, within a couple of mouse clicks and a press of the keyboard away, it just makes trading so much more enjoyable. It's got someone who I can share my trading with, and I can learn from, at any day of the week, basically.
Awesome. And would you say that the mentoring has helped speed up your development and journey as a trader rather than just concentrating on the course itself? Because I've got people on the course that are going, should I do the mentoring? And essentially I launched the mentoring service to simply offer more hand-holding to people that wanted it, and to speed up their transition from the theory to the practice. For you, who has been there, done that, and got the t-shirt and been part of both, would you say that is the case?
I definitely would. I mean, like the course is great on its own, but there are always going to be those questions that are very personal to you. Like you can only answer so many questions and help so many people on a personal level from that sort of general course that you're providing. And once you get onto that mentoring service, you know, you can ask those little questions that you just, something's quite missing. You need a little bit more, maybe a slightly different explanation or a different example, and you provide that, you know, very, very well. But the mentoring services has really cemented in everything that I learned from that course, and it's just, I'm so happy that I made the decision to go and do that. It's just been paramount in my success.
Yeah, well, clearly things are starting to really click for you, which is
Yeah.
obviously very, very pleasing to see from both perspectives. Obviously, seeing that you're taking that information and using it to your advantage, and you're starting to see some progress from the investment, from a time and a financial perspective that you've put into the service and the course. Fantastic. So what would you feel, now that you've looked back over these last 6 months and seen such incredible progress, what would you feel are the key trading traits that you've developed which have helped you to progress at such an impressive rate? For other people that are watching that are maybe early on in their trading career, or maybe struggling a little bit, or are just considering trading as a potential journey for them as well.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would say that you don't need to have 12 hours a day sitting at your computer. You know, once you understand why the markets are moving, and you know why they're doing what they are, which, you know, for me is just, you know, watching the news, reading about things that are happening in day-to-day life, and the mentoring service that you provide. It's, you know, which is basically like having your own bank analyst working beside you.
Yeah.
You know, you just, at the end of the day, you just have to be patient and have your trade plan written. It's not always about, you know, picking, you know, tops and bottoms, because you don't need to take that full move. You just want a chunk of it, and you know, yourself are a big advocate of that, and that's one of the reasons that I think I've done so well, is that I'm not upset if I miss the whole move, or I'm not upset if, you know, if I lose out, you know, as long as it's small. And I mean, for example, with the Brexit situation, you know, being a teacher and having to be up early in the morning, you know, I was able to catch, you know, 90 odd pips, and yes, I missed, you know, the other 400 or whatever that happened overnight, but it's not a problem, because there are always pips to be had, and if you just make small goals and you follow your process, you're always going to benefit. You know, if you put in the work, you'll get there.
Fantastic. And yeah, that example of the pound moves is a classic example of how the market tries to trap you from a emotional perspective, because you've just taken 90 pips there, which on any normal day you'd feel absolutely delighted about that. But as humans, we'll see what happened afterwards, and we'll go, we could have made 350 pips more had we left it. But if you take that same approach over the next 10-15 trades and leave it and hope you're going to get more when the market conditions have changed, you're probably going to see a decidedly different perspective. So you've got to almost like treat each opportunity as an independent opportunity, and if you're able to squeeze a profit from that, see that as a massive positive. And if you aren't able to get as much out of it as you maybe should have, just say to yourself quickly, before greed kicks in or disappointment kicks in, just quickly say to yourself, as you have been doing, is there will be another opportunity around the corner. The great thing about fundamentals is there's a constant stream of fundamental catalysts every single week, every single month, and we know that just around the corner there'll be another high probability trade, and that's what makes or breaks the successful from the non-successful, is being patient enough to wait for the best opportunities, and to not let that inner voice that we all have say, oh, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, when we know it falls outside of our rules and our trade plans.
And I mean, you know, like, I still, you know, openly, I still struggle with those, you know, times where you're thinking, oh, maybe I should jump back in here. It's still going. But just knowing that, and having heard you talk about those feelings and the psychological component of the trading, it's okay, and you know, it's normal.
Absolutely, and that's why I always try and put across my greatest challenges, again, to show you guys that may be thinking that it's your problem and it's your issue, when really it's not. It's a human one that we all share, and when you realise it's not you as an individual, it takes the pressure off you. You can say, actually, no, I just need to be aware of it so I can respond to it, but I don't have to feel bad about it because it's me, because it's not. It's something that we all struggle with, and to this day, even having traded for 10 years, I still have the same emotions, but I'm able to dampen them down enough so they don't influence my trading decisions negatively.
Yeah, definitely.
And so,
And I think that's one of the things that I struggle with massively at the start, but the mentoring and you speaking these things through with us and telling us and us realizing you are actually human, Tom. You aren't like a super trading or anything like that.
yeah, no, it's important. It's important because I want you guys to relate to me as much as possible, and I've been on the journey that you've all been on, and so I can look back and say these were my greatest challenges and be aware of them, and these are some of the solutions I put in place to help me overcome them. So you can just do the same thing and follow in those footsteps. So hopefully your path is a little bit smoother than mine. I don't mind you making mistakes. I don't mind anyone making mistakes. The key element is saying, okay, do we learn from them so that they don't happen again? And that's the key element. And that's the key element. So as we go forward, we're getting feedback, but we're acting upon that feedback, both constructive and negative feedback, which we can act upon and make sure that we're making fewer mistakes as we go forward. And you can probably look back over your journey and go, actually, I made quite a lot of mistakes in my first 3 months, but I'm starting to iron them out. I still make occasional mistakes, but I'm ironing them out a lot more now, and that's resulting in greater profits.
Exactly. I mean, I'm so aware now of that sort of like the FOMO sort of stuff, like the fear of missing out and the greed. You know, that you want to get every pip you can out of it, but realizing you don't have to, and you know, you're fine. You move on and you keep success.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you just got to keep saying to yourself, keep reminding yourself that actually, no, there will be another opportunity around the corner. I may have missed this opportunity, but there will be more opportunities around the corner. And also make it relevant to your situation, because sometimes people will look at my trades because I'm at my charts throughout the majority of the day and go, I didn't get as many pips as Tom, when really that's not comparing yourself fairly to your own situation. If you've got to go and do your day job, then you're not going to have as much time to trade as myself. So comparing the two together is only going to lead to disappointment. But if you can say, actually, I've got half the time of what Tom has, but I'm making roughly half the amount of pips as he's making. So that's a good sign. That's a good sign. And my job right now is just to get consistency in my returns over the course of 6 to 12 months, and then we'll see where things take us. But right now, I have to fit my trading plan around my current commitments, and absolutely trading can allow you to do that. But as an individual, you've got to compare yourself to you where you were 2 months ago, 4 months ago, 6 months ago, not comparing yourself to someone else that has a completely different trading situation.
Yeah, I mean, that being said, I mean, just you know, with me, you know, because I'm working from, you know, sort of like 7 in the morning till 7 at night, I did at one point try to, you know, sort of trade any sort of spare minute I could throughout the day, and gosh, that was the worst thing I could have ever done.
Yeah.
And you know, but it was because of that mentoring service and talking to you about these things and these, you know, challenges that I was going through, that I soon realised and, you know, learnt from it that you don't have to. You can still be very successful without, you know, being at your charts as long as you have. And you know, it has made a possibility for me to trade full time, you know, in the next couple of years, hopefully, a very, very reasonable idea.
Absolutely, especially at the pace that you're going at. And what's that? So you're roughly doing around about 5% per month, which is incredible, absolutely incredible. And that will lead you to some very interesting doors being opened later down the line. And you're proof in the pudding that you can still achieve some fantastic returns even with other commitments. And I think that's a key message I want to get across to people, because there's always this misconception that they have to trade every single day. They have to be at the charts during the European session. When they don't, there's opportunities in and around that. And having just a general feel for the fundamental drivers means that you can have your directional bias from a high level perspective, meaning that at any one point, so long as you're reading and digesting the reports, you know which roughly direction currency pairs should be heading in, so you can take some opportunities in and around, even in and around some of the scheduled events.
Yeah, definitely.
So what advice would you give to aspiring traders listening to the video, people who are currently in the position you were in before joining us, just starting out or struggling to make progress in their trading?
I mean, I would suggest just be brutally honest. You know, don't be afraid to ask any question, because if you don't ask the question, you're not going to know, and sometimes you just cannot find the answers to it. You know, by reading books or going on the internet and things like that. You need someone who's living it day to day, like what you are, Tom. And it also helps, you know, just set goals, small goals, and you know, tick them off as you go through. And I've been doing that for the last, you know, sort of 6 months now, and you know, they're as small as, you know, maybe make 50 pips for in the next month. And you'll find that even though you've only got those small goals and you've got something to go towards, most of the time those winning trades that you get run so well that you might make that easily in just, you know, 10, 15, 20 minutes on one trade.
Yeah.
Also, not to give up. There are going to be ups and downs. You're not, you know, you don't have to take all the pips. You don't have to pick and have the perfect entry and the perfect exit to be profitable. Yeah, and just enjoy it. I mean, there's nothing more that I enjoy than, you know, opening up my emails in the morning and seeing that market review from Tom, or, you know, the mentoring emails that are coming through. It, you know, everything that I do now, you know, whether I'm reading a newspaper or watching the news, or, you know, events are happening, you know, around the world, it all ties in to my trading plan. And it's now really is a part of my life, and it's a really enjoyable part of my life.
That's quite funny, actually, because yeah, you can become a little bit obsessed with it when you're just watching the news or reading a newspaper, and you immediately say to yourself, actually, that could have a knock-on effect on the local currency from a fundamental perspective, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, and I never used to have that when I was trading technically.
Yeah.
And you know, and my trade plan was, when I'd sit down, you know, at the start of the week and say, right, this is what I'm going to be doing. These are at these levels, and such and such. And, you know, it just adds another sort of human element to it, I guess.
Yeah, it's a bit more real, isn't it? Technical's great, but they're very robotic. Fundamentals, they give you irrelevant of the trading side of things, they give you a wonderful view of the world from an economical perspective, which obviously filters into other things as well. So you get to know about the performance of economy, the retail sales, the employment data, which to many may be boring, but when you know that you can tie that into your trading plans, that's where the excitement comes, because you go, the two and two can come in together.
Yeah, but no, it generally, I mean, it is, you know, the fundamental side now is, I could never ever go back to not using it. It's just, it's so powerful, and I find it incredibly interesting. You know, it's
and I think that's also probably a key part of your success as well, is in terms of your passion for what you're doing is naturally infiltrating into other things, such as your determination, your pre-planning, your work ethic. The two come together, so I think that's a trait which is obviously very powerful as well, which is not often discussed that much, is a passion for something and a love for something.
I mean, you know, it's the old saying, you know, if you enjoy your job, you never work a day in your life.
Excellent. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And trading isn't all flowers and sunshine. There can be stressful days, there can be bad days, but generally speaking, it's a thoroughly exciting and thoroughly enjoyable industry. And I'm sure without time, you can get to the point where you can do more of it.
Yeah, and that's you know, my long-term plan is that I would like to be doing that, and you know, it might take me 3 years, 5 years, but you know, that's a long-term goal, and I'm willing to work for it.
Amazing. Well, the pace you're going at the minute shouldn't be that long, but that covers my final point. My final question was just to ask what your plans were for the future, but you see yourself wanting to become a full-time trader?
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, fantastic. Definitely. And absolutely no reason why you can't do that, and in due course I'll be obviously helping support you as you make that transition from your current career to a full-time trading career, because that's a big step to take, but I've personally been through that as well, so hopefully I can provide you the benefit of my experience in that role as well. So that'd be more than a pleasure to do that in due course. So all I say is keep up the good work, because the rate you're going at, I'll just give you my money to trade, and I'll go and retire. So I'll go back to Australia. I'll go to Australia, and you can stay here, and we'll do a role reversal.
Well, we can do that. You know, I don't mind helping you out. You've helped me out so much, Tom. It has been You've been very instrumental from the first day that I met you those many years ago, thinking right, and embarrassingly on my emails, instead of your name, it's got the guy I want to be. Um,
Oh, now you're getting very personal. I'll just,
yeah,
I think I'll stick with the offer of the crate of beer.
yeah, no, but I mean, you have been instrumental. You're very much a part of my trading career, and without you and your help and just willing to put up with the countless random questions about trading, I couldn't have asked for a better mentor.
No, I really appreciate that, and it's a two-way thing as well, because when I decided to become a trader, is all about I'm going to work for myself, but
Yeah,
the attraction of that wears off quite quickly. And when
yeah,
you're just trading for yourself on your own and you've got no community, it's
mm,
not the most exciting. So as part of the education, one thing is obviously to help guys and girls like yourself, but two is to get that community, to
yeah,
have like-minded individuals, because you're very similar to me. On our conversations on email, we've talked about our similar common interests and desires and how we love the markets, and it's a two-way thing. So you're obviously benefiting from the service,
oh,
but I'm also benefiting from
yeah,
a really engaged community that wants to do well in life and in trading, and the two coming together is great. And hopefully at some point later down the line I can have a bit of a get together with the guys on the service. Now that it's grown quite successfully, it'd be nice to just go and have a few drinks and catch up with all of the members on the service, because you'll find that the group will share a lot of commonalities in terms of
yeah,
their approach and outlook on life, and that's a nice community to be part of. So it's a two-way thing.
definitely.
Anyway, amazing stuff. Well, Connor, I don't want to take up any more of your time. That pretty much concludes our interview for today. So once again, massive thanks for your time and input. No doubt this will be hugely appreciated by those listening, as they get a strong insight into what it takes to really push ahead in their trading. In summary, the things that I've personally picked up on from afar as your mentor that have made a big contribution to your success are as follows. Firstly, dedication. I see that every weekend you take time out to prepare for the trading week ahead. You plan ahead of time so that you're proactively approaching the markets rather than reactively. And that stems into your confidence, because when things happen as you'd planned them, you get confidence to then execute your trades off the back of that. So that's something that's very important in your success, is your dedication to putting the work in, because trading is not easy. You do need to commit a little bit of work, and you can do this around your current commitments, but you do need to schedule time in each week to make sure you're cementing and compounding your learnings, which you've exactly done, and that's why you've seen your progress pick up so sharply as the months have gone by. Also, you've developed your own style, as we touched upon earlier. You know that you have other commitments. You've got your day job, and these things can't be moved right now. So instead, you've built your trading plan around your current commitments so that you play to your strengths, doing a few things well rather than everything badly, like you touched upon. You're not trying to trade every single movement that happens during the day, because that brought some disappointing results. By just sticking to your current by building your trade plan around your current lifestyle, is giving you the ability to become the master of a few things rather than the jack of many. So that's another key element that I've picked upon. You also have a strong goal to work towards. You see yourself as a full-time trader, doing the thing that you love, and that's a really powerful purpose that is going to drive you forward in your progression. It gives you great purpose and gives you the energy to put the necessary work in to get the results that you want and need to put yourself in that position in 1, 2, 3 years time. You're also very inquisitive and eager to learn. You are sharing your highs and your lows with me on a regular basis so that I can continue to steer you in the right direction. You're not ashamed to admit when you've made a mistake or you've done something wrong, because you're always keen to know how to put it right and to improve over time. That is massively important, because everything that you do right is moving you forward, and everything you do wrong but learn from is also moving you forward and progressing you. And also, finally, is your passion about trading. You're clearly very passionate, and you're passionate about the end goal that you want to achieve from trading. Passion is probably the most underestimated trait of a successful trader. Loving the journey that you're on makes the process of learning to trade that much easier. So that's really important as well. Anyway, it's time to wrap up so that both Connor and I can go and enjoy the remaining part of the weekend and watch the big football match later on. But you're an Australian, so you probably don't watch soccer. You may do. For those watching, I truly hope that this interview has helped provide a healthy dose of social proof, inspiration and motivation for you so that you can crack on with your own journey and follow in the impressive footsteps of Connor. As ever, wishing you prosperous trading, and we'll speak soon on the next video blog.